Welcome back to another episode of Reddit Titan. In today's episode the user asks the question, what made the weird kid at your school weird? And here are all the crazy answers, and don't forget to subscribe for a new video every day. Kid smelled like he bathed in cat pee every day. Hissed at anyone who came near him. Used to run through the hallways from class to class. Threatened to kill me in a computer lab because I used Internet Explorer instead of Firefox. There was a kid in my school who was obsessed with Mario. He had Mario sweatshirts and notebooks, and a Mario backpack. Well, someone figured out that if you told him Mario is dead he'd flip, scream and cry. You know, he not every time. He got in trouble multiple times for attacking kids who said anything about Mario dying, even if they were talking about in the context of Smash Brothers or something. This happened 8th-10th grade, then I never saw him again. She was a furry who tried recruiting people into her newly founded furry religion, where the type of furry you were spiritually was based on your birthday, like some f***ing astrology BS. She also had a boyfriend who was into the whole furry thing, but in a really weird sexual way, cause they make out on the floor or in the lounge areas and bark, growl at each other, and it just made everything uncomfortable for everyone. Had one girl in my year who had a weird obsession with our physics teacher. Then in a lesson learning about spinning forces, she asked if she could show a cool video to the class. He said yes. The video was of her spinning on a pole in her underwear. When he sent her out, she was yelling the whole way, "Why? Are you saying that pole dancing is sexual? Cause that's sexist." She wore but skimming skirts with fishnet tights and corsets on non-uniform day as well. Always got sent straight home. They ended up expelling her when we were about 17. Mustard boy. I'll never forget him. He would cover his lunch tray in mustard. Chicken nuggets, mustard. Mexican pizza, mustard. Breakfast for lunch, mustard. It didn't matter what it was, he would drench it in mustard. He was and doing it just to make a mess of his lunch tray. He always finished his mustard food. He was on a hair trigger, would snap and threaten people. Suspended multiple times. Two memorable incidents were when we freaked out at an art teacher, went to his locker and came back with a bullwhip. He made that thing snap and sent everyone running. She barricaded herself in the supply room. Another time someone made the mistake of teasing him about something and everyone laughed, and he pulled a knife and screamed, "Who wants to be the first to die?" He was expelled and I'm not sure what became of him. I had a few. One was obsessed with all Asian culture, kind of random since we lived in a very rural community in Canada with little connection to the outside world, let alone to Asia, and would lose her mind if anyone said anything remotely negative about it. It started out as mainly just a fixation on Pokemon, anime, and K-pop, but quickly branched out to all things Asian. She once hit me with a textbook because we were discussing Butterfly in class and I said that I didn't like it. This was at age 16. Another kid used to pick his nose until it bled and then go home because he had a nosebleed. He would also eat the boogers. We were all surprisingly chill about that part of his personality. The thing we all hated most about this kid is that he would lie about the most random stuff. Like he would deny that he got hit when playing dodgeball or caught when playing tag on the playground. One time my neighbor made me a little injection glued to a piece of driftwood and I brought it to school to show the class. This kid picked it up in front of everyone, immediately dropped and broke it, and then denied that it was him that broke it, even though we had all literally watched him do it. He cried when we continuously called him out on it. This was also at age 16. In high school we had a kid that wore his pants up to his nipples, so he was called Pants all through high school. He was very strange, got way too close to people, purposely liked to slowly touch people, and creep them out. Always walked around on his tiptoes for some reason. In grade 12 he tried to poison someone just to see how it felt. 2 years after high school he got put in jail for killing a hooker. He was caught eating berries off of a tree branch in a compost trash can in 5th grade. He'd act feral around everyone else, but if you got to know the kid he was actually pretty down to earth and cool. In middle school around 6th grade I tried getting to know him better and found out he might have had some kind of multiple personality disorder, and was grateful for someone who didn't judge him that much. I try my best to not get him to do stupid. He was later expelled for what everyone said was biting a teacher. I saw him once during high school and he got really f***ing hot too. Seemed way chilled out. When I asked about why he left he said he wasn't allowed to talk about it but was getting help, so that's always good. Gabe, if you're out there I hope you're doing well. There was a kid at my high school who never talked. It wasn't that he couldn't speak, or that he only spoke to his close friends. He just wouldn't speak to anyone. Teachers didn't call on him because they knew he didn't talk. When a substitute would come in and try to call on him, there was always some kid who would have to explain Ricky doesn't talk. If you asked him a question, he would just look at you. It was weird, and some people would take offense to his silence. But eventually everyone realized that was just his thing and rolled with it. The only time he spoke was when we had to present individually in class. On those days, people would get really excited if they had a class with him because hearing him talk was like seeing a unicorn. Not exactly the weird kid, but definitely the kid not many people wanted to interact with. Was very pushy, generally awkward, also often tried being all cool by using big words but failing miserably. But the thing that took the cake was when some girl sent to the entire grade something along the lines of say your name X times, say your parents' name X times, and then say your crush name X, and in a few days your crush will be with you. And he actually responded to the email. It was an awkward year till his crush left. In hindsight, she wasn't so weird. She just marched to the beat of her own drum. She was very overweight and had a lot of health issues, including more than one skin condition, so people saw her as gross, and they avoided her. I can remember all the way back in first or second grade when we did dancing in gym class. No one wanted to be her partner because her hands were covered in scaly rashes. But she was smart and she had an odd sense of humor, and despite how everyone treated her, she was confident in herself and never hid any part of her personality. She was always the first to speak up in class, and she challenged other people's opinions so readily. But at the same time, she was constantly falling asleep in class, and she snored so loudly. I remember she sat behind me during our AP exam for American history, and for the life of me I could not focus on my test because she was breathing so loud. She was incessantly bullied, to the point of being pity voted onto prom court. She had one real friend, and then a year after we graduated, she died completely unexpectedly. I remember waking up to go to work one morning and my best friend had texted me that she was dead, and I was absolutely shocked. Apparently, she had been out to dinner with her aunt, and on her way back to the table from the bathroom, she collapsed and they couldn't resuscitate her. They did an autopsy and couldn't confirm a cause of death. Her mother died about a week after she did, and they had a joint funeral. Probably the saddest funeral I've been to. The worst part about her death was that I lived in a really small town, so it's all anyone was talking about for weeks. Her biggest bullies were some of the loudest voices. Some people from my graduating class held a memorial service for her where they sent off paper lanterns. But I couldn't get myself to go because it was full of all the people who made high school miserable for her. I couldn't bear to listen to them talk about how great she was, how beautiful she was, when they never held those sentiments when she was alive. He always carried around a briefcase, but never opened it. Saturday on the briefcase during lunch, classes, etc. It was like the nuclear football, always in his hand or he was sitting on it. He carried it onto the stage during graduation. Got his diploma. Right as he was leaving the stage, he opened it up and dumped a bunch of confetti on the principal. I guess it was the long con. No one questioned why he was carrying it on stage. There was a girl in grade 5 that created her own language called Schmalby, and she'd sit in the corner and whisper to herself in it. People also used to tell her there were spiders on her hair and she'd get mad at them and scratch their faces. She purposely grew out the nails on her index, middle and ring fingers and filed them into sharp claws. To be fair, telling someone who is clearly not completely aware that they've got spiders in their hair is probably not going to end well for you. She ended up leaving the school in grade 6. Aside from that, in grade 3 I microwaved a kid's winter boots in our lunchroom because I thought they were the reason he ran faster than me. I was just fat. That was why he was faster. I was in year 10 when he came up from primary school. I don't know what was wrong with him, but he'd always pretend to be a train and chug along through the quad. People would chuckle as he went past, but he didn't care. Him and his other weird mate would just scoot on by minding their own business. When I was in year 11, one of the Scratter kids, a proper mong, through and through blocked his tracks and took the mick out of him. A group of us shoved him out of the way and berated him for it and encouraged Train Boy to go on his way. Ours wasn't the best school in the district, but goddamn, at least the trains ran on time. I didn't talk to a whole lot of people in high school, so I usually just people watched with my friends. The weirdest kid had to be the guy who looked like Fat Thor. He wasn't muscular or nothing, just looked like him. He always had a dead look in his eyes and walked around slouched over. He wouldn't really bother about personal space either. He was just there, and if he got close to you, then he got close to you. Wasn't really anything you could do about it. Honestly, almost like he was on another plane of existence. Hope you guys enjoyed that episode. If you did, please like the video and subscribe for future videos coming out daily. I'll see you guys in the next one.